everyone. We've reached the end. We've reached the finish line of Supergirl and Batwoman. Episodes 20 for Batwoman, episode 20 for Batwoman, episode 19 for Supergirl. As we all know, seasons got cut short because of the COVID, and the editors, like the staff, everybody on board. Thank you for putting together, the season finale is the best way that you possibly could for all us fans to enjoy it. So a lot of good stuff to unpack. So let's get right into it. Let's close this chapter on the first season of Batwoman and season 5 of Supergirl. Yeah, season 5 of Supergirl. So we'll start off. We'll get into Supergirl later, but first let's start off with the season finale of Batwoman. So for the season finale of Batwoman, the episode starts with a gentleman by the name of Titan. He got out of prison, broke out of prison, or whatever. He was a college football player, one of the best, and he's now on this on this crazed rampage where he's going around killing specific people that he felt wronged him throughout the course of him playing college football. So he kills this one dude on the train. And then, then after that, because Kate was there, Jacob Kane was there, and then so now it's a Batwoman mission. They're all looking into it. So while they're looking into it, Kate and Mary end up looking into it because Luke's whole thing was Luke's on the whole kryptonite train. So now that Alice knows that kryptonite can penetrate the Batsuit, Luke takes the kryptonite that Bruce Wayne always kept, for Superman, and he's trying to figure out how to destroy it. For some reason, despite Kate telling Luke about the multiverse and the crisis and the crossover, Luke for some reason was under the impression that Kate didn't know anything about Superman because she asked him, she was like, why would Bruce keep kryptonite in the Batcave? And then he was just like, oh, he's holding it for a friend. And then she was just like, yeah, one with a cape and blue tights. And then Luke's like, how did you know that? And I'm like, bro, she told you about Crisis. She told you about Crisis. So anyway, Luke goes to destroy the kryptonite. Mary and Kate, they end up talking about what they can do about Titan. So now, and then in the meantime, Jacob Kane, he's on the news talking about we're coming for Batwoman, and he was just like, vigilantes won't be tolerated and blah blah blah. So now, Mary ends up telling Kate, she was like, hey, listen, the guy has a brother named Apollo because Mary told Kate the story about how, because they said that the thing with Titan, they said that he was a star. Mary said he was a star football player, and then one day in a championship game, a call didn't go his way. The man freaked out and he snapped the referee's neck in front of a stadium full of people. His brother ended up testifying against him, when he got locked up. So now, his brother Apollo, he plays football. His brother's the new star of the football team. So Kate puts on the bat suit. She goes and talks to the brother. The brother was just like, he said football turned my brother. Because first of all, he admitted that he was like, I testified against my brother. And he was just like, it's unfortunate because my brother used to be a good person. There was he used to help neighborhood kids. He used to do things for the community. He was a very good guy. And then he said playing football turned him into a monster. And it's when he said that, I was just like, so why are you playing football? I'm like, you just admitted that football turned your brother into a monster when you're playing football. But anyway, but he wasn't as big as his brother, so I guess they played two different positions. So while Kate was talking to Apollo, Titan shows up. And then, Titan shows up, he fights Batwoman, he ends up kicking Batwoman's ass, the crows show up, he ends up, busting the crows. He took a batarang to the chest that didn't affect him or whatever. And then, Titan gets away. Batwoman ends up with some busted ribs. And he actually, Titan, because Titan the whole episode, he's walking around with these two big ass machetes. He took one of the swords and threw it because his brother tried to run. He threw it at his brother, and he stabbed him in the back. So the brother didn't die, but physically, I don't think he'll be able to play football again. But that remains to be seen. And then Titan dipped, and then Batwoman, she dragged her ass out of there, and then that's when Jacob Kane was on TV talking about how Batwoman's going down, and anybody associated with Batwoman's going down. So then Mary used some of her doctor contacts, and they were looking into, because when Kate was just like, Apollo said that football turned Titan into a monster. They ended up looking into his medical records, and then they said that they held up a brain scan of what past in his physical versus the actual brain scan, because they found out that they tried to cover up something with his brain scan. His actual brain scan showed that the part of the brain that I guess like makes you feel pain, like due to like constant head trauma throughout like all those hits he took in football, that part of his brain had basically like basically just like shriveled down and like turned into dust. Like he no longer has that part in his brain, which is why he was able to take batarangs and why he can sustain so much punishment. So and then they found out that the school and the doctors, everybody ended up covering it up because since this kid was like the best of all, he was like the best, like college prospect, they wanted to win a championship so bad that they covered up the kid's medical records. They forged his medical records just to get him out on the field. So what happened was, because he was out on the field and his brain wasn't right, he went crazy and accidentally like killed, he killed the referee. So which is unfortunate. So now Kate is just like, well, I just tried to fight him and he beat my ass, so I can't go after him by myself. So she was just like, maybe we can get the crows. And then Mary and Luke was like, nah, that's not a good idea. And then Kate was just like, well, we got to try, because she was like, it's either we get the crows to help us or I go out there by myself and I try to fight this dude. So Mary, of all people, she goes to the roof, where the bat symbol is. She turns on the bat symbol. The entire Crows organization shows up. And then, Mary was just like, it's me. So Jacob shows up and he's like, what are you doing, Mary? And then, she gave him the speech and she was just like, yo, you're playing this wrong. She was like, Batwoman's not the enemy. Batwoman inspires hope, and she was just like, people don't like the crows, like the crows don't inspire hope. She was like, instead of chasing down Batwoman, who's actually trying to save the city, if you want people to believe in the crows and feel safe at night, maybe you should team up with Batwoman, and then the people will view you, will start viewing you guys, like in the same light. And he wasn't trying to hear it, and he was just like, first of all, he was just like, nobody he was just like, nobody's a hero when they set you up, to get shot by the crows. And then he was like, she doesn't have the guts to show her face. And then Kate showed up like, haha. And then then Kate was just like, yo, she was just like, I can't stop the Titan guy. She gave him all the information that they had on his brain scans and everything, and she was like, look, we need to team up. She was like, teaming up is the best way for us. So they shook hands, and they was just like, all right, we'll work together to take down the Titan kid. So now 30 minutes into the episode, Sophie finally shows up, and Sophie and Julia, when they got back to the Crows to headquarters, because the Crows have like this new app thing now. Like it's an app where anybody can download it, and when there's trouble, you just hit you just call the Crows and the Crows come to your location. So Sophie and Julia, they were told to go work on the app. So when they get back to headquarters, there's nobody there, and they're just like, where the F is everybody? And then one of the guys told him, he was like, oh, everybody went down to the football field to with Batwoman to go stop the Titan character. And then Sophie and Julia was just like, well, that's weird, like how come nobody called us to say to come do this? She was just like, that in itself is fishy. And then Julia was just like, yeah. Julia put two and two together, and she was just like, the reason why they didn't let us know is because Jacob's gonna end up he's gonna end up betraying Batwoman when all this is over. And so Sophie and Julia end up running down to the football field. Batwoman's on the football field, like everybody's on the football field. Titan shows up, Batwoman's fighting Titan, and of course Titan's beating her ass again. And at this point, because Kate realized that she wasn't gonna beat him, with physical strength, she ended up appealing to his humanity. And she just told him, she was just like, like, I heard you were a good person. I heard you used to help out the community and you used to do, things for the people, and you were, like, you were a good guy. And then when she said that, then he started calming down a little bit, and then, he looked at her, he was just like, yeah, he was just like, I didn't want to do this. He was like, I didn't want to hurt people, but he was just angry. It was like, he just wasn't right in the head. And people, instead of like helping them, everybody just wrote him off, which made him emotionally unstable. And then he calmed down, like he was calming down, and then out of nowhere the Crows just shot him dead. And I was just like, and I was just like, wow, like a bunch of no, I'm not even gonna go there. But so they shot him. And then Batwoman was like, yo, what the F? She was just like, I was getting through to him. And then, Jacob was just like, this is Crow's business. And then all of the Crows, pointed their guns at Batwoman. And then she was like, yo, what the F? And then she was like, I thought we had a truce. And he was like, I made you a promise that it was war. And then all the Crows started shooting Batwoman. And then Batwoman had to get the F up out of Dodge. But of course they couldn't, the bullets didn't do anything because the suit is bulletproof. So Kate got out of there. Titan's dead, and now Kate's like dragging her carcass back to the Batcave. Sophie and Julia show up at the last second, and then they were just like they gave the commander the look like, yo, what you doing? And then Sophie and Commander Kane got into an argument, and then she was just like, yo, you're playing this wrong. And then he was like, why? And then he got mad. He was just like, yo, why the hell is everybody all of a sudden on this Batwoman train? He was just, he was like, first Mary on the roof talking about I gotta work this bitch. Now you telling me I gotta work with her. He was like, yeah, what the hell? He was like, what's everybody seeing that I'm that I'm not seeing? And then she was just like, hope. Like Batwoman inspires hope. And then he was like, I ain't trying to hear that. And then he walked away. So Kate now, like, she's talking to Mary. She's back at the tower talking to Mary. And she's devastated because she was just like, yeah, she's like, my dad flat out lied in my face. Like, he made me a promise, like, we shook hands, and he betrayed me. Like, she was just like, the fact that he betrayed me, that shit hurt. She was like, that shit flat out hurt, and she didn't know what to say. And then Mary was just like, yo, he lied to me too. She was like, I was on the roof with your ass when he shook your hand. So the two of them were hurt, but they bonded over that moment. Luke came walking in, and he was just like, hey everybody, like like I destroyed the kryptonite, and then he had turned it into dust. And then and then after that, like, Kate was just like, look, there's been a whole lot of deception and deceiving and everything going on. So she was just like, yo, no more secrets. She was like, if we gonna do this, let's do this. So she ended up she went into her secret compartment, and she pulled out the kryptonite that she got from Bruce Wayne in the crossover. Because remember, like, Kate accidentally killed old Bruce Wayne. So she got the kryptonite that he gave her. The kryptonite that Supergirl told her, like, hey, hold on to it just in case. Because she was like, I trust you'll never have to use it. And then Kate was just like, I got kryptonite too. And then, and then Luke was just like, so you ain't gonna tell me you had no kryptonite? She was like, the reason why I didn't tell you was because, first of all, I didn't think he was gonna be able to destroy that shit. And she was like, and two, I made a friend with a cape and blue tights a promise, and she was like, I can't let you destroy this because I got to keep it, because I made her a promise. And then Luke was just like, well, what happens? He's like, well, what happens if somebody gets their hands on it, and uses it against you? And then she's like, well, that's not gonna happen. And and the fact that I'm telling you guys the secret means that I trust that this whole ordeal isn't gonna happen. So now they have to, so that's it. So now, like, everybody know about the kryptonite, like Mary knows about it. So the only three people that know about that kryptonite is Mary, Kate, and Luke. Because according to everybody else, like, Luke destroyed it. So I don't know if I don't know if she's gonna put it back in the book, but but that's basically how that whole thing goes. Sophie and Julia, they had a quick little conversation talking about their relationship, and then Julia told her that she was just like, hey, listen, the woman that that was forcing me to get the Lucius Fox book, when I betrayed her, she obviously didn't take that well. And then then Julia said that I found these photos on my doorstep, and somebody's been taking surveillance photos of her and Sophie together. So now both of them are a target for whoever this woman is that's coming after Julia. And now Sophie's put in the crosshairs of that. Alice is still trying to research the kryptonite. She's trying to find out where the kryptonite is. She went to a university that specialized in different types of meteors and rocks. They didn't have it. They told her that we did have it at one point, but we sent it back to Wayne Tower. It's with Lucius Fox. So now Alice is just like, well, if it's in Wayne Tower, she's like, I'm definitely not getting that shit now. And so then Hush rolled up on Alice, and he was like, look, bitch, he was like, you supposed to give me a face, you ain't give me no face. He was like, I did everything you asked me to do, and I want my face. So she was just like, you know what, you're right. So she went and she stole the necessary materials, because she was like, I'm gonna make you a brand new face. She's like, I owe you that much. So then Mouse rolled up on Alice, and he was just like, look, they got this crow app where where people can call the crows on us at the drop of a dime. So he was like, we got to get the hell out of Gotham City. And he was, so he said to her, he was like, listen, he was like, come with me. And then she was just like, no, she's like, I have to finish what I started with my sister. And then that's when Mouse was like, all right, bitch, I'm done. He was just like, I'm not doing this. He's like, I'm not doing the whole, like, you chasing after Kate. He was like, our lives are at stake. We're criminals. People are coming for us. People are coming to bust our ass. And then he was like, now that this app is out there, it's going to make it even tougher. So he was like, look, you stay, have a good life, and I'm out. So then Alice got all upset. She was like, don't leave me, Mouse. And he was like, you're leaving me, no choice. And then the two of them went back and forth. And then she was just like, all right, fine. She was like, I'll come with you. She was like, first, let me finish making Tommy his face. And then, then she was just like, you and I will leave together. So the two of them ended up sitting down. They ended up having like a nice little conversation together. They drank some tea, and, they were talking about what they were going to do when they leave, and then while they were having their conversation, Mouse realized he was poisoned, and then he looked over. He looked over at at Alice, and then he was just like, you poisoned me. How could you? And then she was like, because I can't let you leave me. And I was like, hold up. It shows you how crazy Alice. I was like, hold up. First of all, you didn't want him to leave to begin with. You wanted him to stay with you. So your way of getting him to not leave you is to poison his food and kill him, which means he's now going to leave you. So I was just like, whatever. So she betrayed him. She was just like, despite everything, she's like, despite everything that we've been through, she's like, I love you and all, but she was just like, I'm not walking away from this whole thing with Kate. He was, she was just like, the fact that you were willing to leave me means like you betrayed me or whatever. So she killed Mouse. Mouse is dead. And I mean, cause you knew like at least one person wasn't going to make it to the end of the season, and Mouse ended up getting murked. So he gone. And then at the end, Alice was keeping her promise to Tommy Elliott, and she was making him a face. And when she was finished, and she held up the mirror, she was like, this is my best work yet. And she was like, how do you like it? He held the mirror up, and then he almost peed his pants, and then she held up a Forbes magazine type deal, and then she was just like, perfect. And the face that she gave him, she turned him into Bruce Wayne. And it wasn't like the back of his head or like a shadow. There was an actual man, there was an actual actor who has been hired to play Bruce Wayne. And the whole thing about Alice turning Tommy into Bruce, I called that. I called that without calling it, because I even like remember like it was like 2 or 3 reviews back. They wrap like bandages around his face, and they were just like, they can give him any face that they want. So, and I was wondering, I was like, yo, whose face is? I was like, because I'm like, they can't make faces, because if Alice was actually able to make faces, I would have thought he would want to be Bruce Wayne, but I called that. So I'm gonna take a victory lap on that one, because I'm the one that said he was gonna be Bruce Wayne. Like he's got turns. He should be Bruce Wayne. So like I said, that one was all me. So that and then she told him, she was just like, now that you look like Bruce Wayne, because remember Bruce Wayne's missing. She was like, you can go into Wayne Tower now and get me that kryptonite. And this is gonna make for an interesting season 2. And that's how the show ended. So the season finale ended with Bruce Wayne. so the season finale of Batwoman ended with Batman. So now, Tommy Elliott's going to be Bruce. And the fact that they actually hired an actor now to play Bruce Wayne, aka Tommy Elliott, that means in season 2 we're actually going to have it, because first of all, when Tommy Elliott walks up in the Wayne Tower, press and media and everybody, they're going to be like, hey, Bruce Wayne is back after 3-4 years. So they're going to make a big deal out of that. So when he shows up, wherever the real Bruce is, he's obviously gonna get wind of that. Like he's gonna find out that somebody's impersonating him. So Bruce Wayne, the real Bruce Wayne, is going to show up, like at some point in season 2, because they've already paid an actor for it. Whether or not he wears the suit, we'll see, because Warner Brothers is very tight. Like they keep that Bat stuff like under lock and key. But because Batwoman's going to HBO Max when the season's over, maybe they'll let him wear the Bat suit just to try to like reel in more viewers to watch the show on HBO Max. But so that was it. That was a very good season. Mary and Luke didn't get together yet. But definitely awesome season of Batwoman. Like their first season I thought was very good. For me, the my favorite character of the entire season is it's like a tie between like Sophie, Luke, and Mary. Because Mary, I mean, I like Sophie from the beginning. Like Luke Falk is my dude, and then Mary won me over as the season progressed, so like I said, and then Ruby Rose as Kate Kane, like she's doing a fantastic job, like I love her in the suit. I heard we were supposed to get a Supergirl cameo, and that never happened, but they did show her in the opening credits, but that was it. Like I said, like Batwoman had they hit it out of the park in the first season. It's unfortunate we didn't get to see like the final 3 episodes because of the worldwide shutdown, but like I said, but just like with the other superhero shows, hopefully we'll get resolutions, the resolutions that we were supposed to get this season. Hopefully we'll get those to start, the first 2 episodes of next season. So we'll see. So, I mean, my predictions that's my prediction. My predictions for season 2, the real Bruce Wayne will show up and he will don the Bat costume. at the very least at one episode, we're gonna get at least one recognizable Batman villain on the show next week. Superman will make a cameo on Batwoman before Supergirl does, and in the season finale of season 2, Luke is gonna start creating the Batwing suit. Yeah, so that was it. So kudos to Batwoman. Congratulations on a successful season 1, and I look forward to doing reviews for season 2. So for Supergirl, it picks up where we left off in the last episode, where Lena was, talking to Kara at her apartment. We did see earlier on that Lex, he finally got his invite into Leviathan. They brought him downstairs. They showed him the secret headquarters, and then some more Leviathan people, because the bald dude that looked like Goldberg, he was the Earth guy. They had this black dude who controlled fire, and this girl that controlled electricity. So the three of them, they took all the kryptonite, they absorbed all the kryptonite that Homeboy had stole in the previous episode, and now they're going after Supergirl to kill her. So now we're at Supergirl's apartment, where Supergirl and Lena are having like their little, because they're still talking. They're talking about what they're supposed to do. Alex and the gang, they bust through Supergirl's apartment because they were ready to kill Lena, and then Alex was like, "You text 911." She was like, "Yeah, but it wasn't for Lena." So so they're basically saying they were just like, Lena's on our side now. She told us what happened. She told me the whole plan about what Lex is planning. They're gonna kill everybody, who's wearing the obsidian, contact lenses. So we got to save everybody. The Leviathan people, they're out there in the streets, and they're calling out Supergirl. They're calling out Supergirl to bust that ass, and they don't know where Supergirl is, because the thing is, the bald guy, he can track Supergirl's power because he's in tune with the Earth. So if Supergirl flies in the air, he can feel it. If she walks on the floor, she can feel it. When she uses her powers, he can feel it. So everybody was just like, well, they have kryptonite, and if they use the kryptonite, they're going to kill you. Lena comes up with the idea because, remember, I think it was like last season with the Agent Liberty season, when the atmosphere got drenched with kryptonite. Lena had made Kara the suit, like that spacesuit looking thing, that Iron Man spacesuit looking thing, to protect her from the kryptonite. And then Lena said, well, because remember, that was on the old Earth, that was on the old Earth. So she was like, but on the new Earth, she said, I actually haven't made the suit yet, but because she remembers making the suit, because she still kept her memories from the previous Earth, she was like, I can just make the suit again. So they were just like, yeah, but what are we gonna do about Leviathan in the meantime? And then that's when Magan, she got the idea. She was just like, let's me and Jean turn ourselves into Supergirl to draw Leviathan off the scent. So Jean wasn't hearing it, because he was just kind of like, that suit is tight, and this, that, and the third. Magan liked it. They, then they made like a Harry Potter joke about the Deathly Hallows with the clone. So we got two Supergirls in the Supergirl suit. Alex shows Kara her new suit, because I forgot Alex had that watch that her and Jean were working on together, that was supposed to help her create weapons and everything. I forgot all about that shit. So she has that now, and apparently that thing she can also use it to create a super suit. So Alice created a super suit for herself, which looked really good. Like, she looked like the original Green Arrow. She had like the blue face, she had like the blue eye paint, and then she had the hood. And I said in the last episode, I was like, yo, as long as you give Alex a hoodie, she'll be good money. So Alex got her little blue Green Arrow suit working, and she can also create any weapon that she wants. So she looked good in the suit. Kara freaked out when she saw the suit. But it made Alex feel good, because now she's on like the vigilante team, which is good, because like I said, Wynn had made her that other suit, and like there's no reason why that girl shouldn't have like a bomb ass suit. So I'm happy to see that. So now Magan and Dreamer, Magan disguised as Supergirl, they go out, to distract, they go after like one set of Leviathan people. Jean and Dreamer go after one Leviathan set. Miss Martian and Alex, they go after the other. While they're engaged in battle, Jean gets hurt, and he's taken out of the episode for a little bit. The reason why he got hurt was because when the two of them were fighting Leviathan, Dreamer basically had another dream. She saw visions of Brainy in Leviathan's headquarters, like going crazy, and it distracted her from the fight, which, she was about to get blasted. John jumped in the way, and then he got taken out. Alex and Magan, like they're fighting, and it's rough because they got all these elemental powers. They can't fight the powers, and it becomes a little bit too much for them. Then everybody got to retreat. Supergirl and Lena, they get to her lab, perfectly fine. And Lena's now making the suit. While Lena's making the suit, she's trying to talk to Kara, and she's trying to have a conversation with Kara, because she's trying to mend that fence. And then, unfortunately, Kara's like not trying to hear it. She's not trying to talk to her, and she's just like, let's not talk about the past. Let's just like move forward. And then Lena was just like, hey, look, she's like, I know I hurt you, but she was like, you know what, I'm sorry. And she tried to apologize, and then then Kara got mad. Like it was the reverse of when Lena yelled at Kara in the Fortress of Solitude. The reverse happened now, where Kara basically just let Lena have it. She's like, look, bitch. She's like, I understand. She's like, I understand that I hurt you and I lied to you about not telling you my secret, and it took me too long to tell you I was Supergirl. But she was like, first of all, that was a mistake, but it was a mistake that I made with good intentions because I was trying to protect you. And she's like, because I made that one mistake, you sat there, you lied to my face, you pretended to be my friend, you lied to me to get me to steal something for you, you used me, you hit me with kryptonite. She was like, bitch, I did one thing wrong and you hit me with like 50 million things all at once. And then Lena got all emotional, and she was just like, you're right, I'm sorry. And I'm like, you can't be mad at that face. Like there's no way, like when that woman looks like she's about to cry, like, I don't understand how you could be mad at her after that. So, the two of them tried to, like I said, they tried to, put that whole thing together. They, but in the midst of them talking, Alex showed up, and then she was just like, oh, Jean's out of the picture, and then we took some damage, and then Kara felt bad. She was just like, I should have been there. And then there's nothing you can do, so they're just like, all right, so what's the plan? And then Kara was like, yo, we'll handle it. She was like, me, Magan, and Dreamer. She was like, we'll handle it. You'll back up. So, so then after that, Brainy, he was talking to the female Brainy, because remember earlier in the episode there were different Brainies that came to this earth. One of them was a girl, and he was talking to her, and he was just like, he said that he came up with a plan on how to stop Leviathan. He said he's going to use the shrinking technology, because remember in that Brainiac episode, he used shrinking technology. They used shrinking technology on like one of the planets. Like they actually had a planet shrunken down because they were trying to find out, where to put it and how to save it. So he was like, I'm gonna use the same shrinking technology on Leviathan, and that's how I'm gonna get rid of Leviathan. And then the female Brainy, she told him, she was just like, all right, she was like, I'll rock with you. She was like, like I'll stick with you to the end. But she was just like, if you upload that program into the Leviathan computer, she was like, it could kill you. And he was like, it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make for betraying my friends all season long. So Brainy's on his way to Leviathan headquarters to go do that. So now, while Kara and Lena are still hashing out their grievances, because remember in the last episode, William got captured by Eve Tessmacher, and they found William's location. So Kara was just like, she was like, I'm going to go save William. And then Lena was like, you can't do it because the suit's not ready. And then she was like, well, you better hurry up with the suit then, because she was like, I'm going to save him. She was like, you should know me. She's like, like I save people. That's what I do. So, so then Lena was like, all right. She was like, if you're going to do that, though, I'm going to come with you. So the two of them went to go save William. Eve had the Glock to his head. She was just like, yo, she was just like, you ran up on me. My mom's in danger. She's like, I can't have you walking around. So Eve tried to kill him. Supergirl showed up. Actually, she showed up late. Like it's weird to watch Supergirl not show up in the nick of time, because Eve gave William one in the shoulder, and then when she fired the second shot, that's when Supergirl showed up. So he took one in the shoulder, and then she disarmed, like her and Lena disarmed Eve, and then that's when Eve spoke to Lena and was just like, like Lex threatened my mom. That's the whole reason why I did this. She was like, I didn't really want to do it. So Lena fixed up William. And then the Leviathan crew showed up, because now that Supergirl's revealed herself, like the Leviathan crew knew where she was. William was just like, all right, so then like Lena got everybody out of there. She got William, she got Eve out of there, and then she was able to I guess remotely call the suit. So now Supergirl, she's fighting the Leviathan people. She getting her ass beat because they're all infused with kryptonite. Like she goes down for the count, and before Leviathan kills her, the chest plate goes on, and then like the nanites kick in, and then now Supergirl's wearing the iron suit. So then I started thinking, I was just like, so for the first fight with Leviathan, Supergirl missed it. Like she missed the fight because she was with Lena. Now that there's a second fight with Leviathan, she's fighting in the Iron Girl suit, and the actual actress Melissa Benoist doesn't have to do fight choreography with the suit on. As long as she's wearing the suit, her stunt double does all the work. So I was just like, that's twice like the actual actor was put in a situation where she didn't have to be involved in the actual fighting. And I just thought that was odd, but I didn't think, but it's like I said, I thought about it, I was like, whatever, and then I kept it moving. So then, so now, so then the rest of the girls show up. And then when the girls showed up, when it was Dreamer, when it was Lena, when it was Alex, that's when it hit me. There are no dudes here. I was like, they got rid of all the dudes. Like it was Kelly, it was Lena, it was Dreamer, it was Kara, it was Alex. I was like, there was Magan. I was like, there are no dudes there are no dudes left on the show. Y'all done got rid of Wynn. Y'all done got rid of James. Like Jean conveniently got hurt and taken out of the file. Like the women are taking over the show. But that's cool because that's the things like I shouldn't notice that, and I'm glad that they did that. I'm glad like we were put in a situation where. Because after Kara, destroyed the Leviathan people, she did like the Supergirl thunderclap, and like the 3 Leviathan people blew up. And then when after they blew up, they started reforming themselves. And then Supergirl was like, "Yo, we got to dip because they're immortals and we actually can't beat them." So they were all at like Lena's place, like all the women were talking. And like I said, like that's what I noticed. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like it's an all-girl cast. It's an all-girl group that's going to save the world. And I like the fact that they just did it. They just put all the women there. The story progressed. And they didn't go out of our way. They didn't go out of their way to tell us like, oh, since it's just us ladies, we're going to say. Because like I hate when people do that. It's just like, if you're a group of badass women, just be a group of badass women without throwing in everyone's face that you're a group of, because they did that on The Flash one time where Iris's bachelor party, it was like Iris, Cecile, Killer Frost, and homegirl from Arrow, Felicity, and then like the whole time it was like the whole episode was about them. It's about the four of them taking down some bad guys, and like every 2 seconds they were just like girl power. I'm just like, okay, we get it. Like just like beat the bad guys. Like stop pausing from the fight just to let us know. So but like I said, but the fact that they didn't do that in Supergirl, I thought was really cool because I ain't got a problem with an all girl female show. I'm about to review Stargirl. Like I like women, so the more women, the better. Like I said, I just don't like when it's just like, I don't like when they do the cheesy stuff of pointing it out. So, and then as soon as that happened, Jean came back. so now since they have Eve at Lena's place, Lena, like Kara went to Eve, and then she was like, what's Lex planning? And then Eve spilled the beans. She was just like, the plan is to put everybody in Obsidian and then blow everybody up and kill the population all at once everybody logs into the virtual reality. So then Kara was so now they were just like, okay, the gods, like the Leviathan gods, their whole job is, because they were like, yo, we can't kill them. So there's like their whole job is to distract us while the Obsidian upload things happens. And then they were just like, we got to save the Obsidian, the Obsidian people, but we also got to stop the gods. And then Kara volunteered to go into the virtual reality because Kara is the only character aside from maybe Jean, who hasn't used the virtual reality throughout the entire season. So Kara was like, I'll go into the virtual reality and, I'll talk to everybody. And then I was paused and I was just like, if Leviathan is, like, I understand y'all know that they're trying to cause a distraction, but at the same time, you still need to stop them. If you're the most powerful person in this room, and Leviathan is out there, trying to destroy you, trying to destroy the world, trying to destroy everybody, why would you be the one to go into virtual reality? So then, I was like, I thought that was weird, but then, but then Alex, the Martians, and Dreamer, they all went after Leviathan. So now they're fighting the gods, and Lena put Supergirl into the virtual reality, and Supergirl's now in the virtual reality with all the other Obsidian virtual reality people. And once again, she's in another position where she doesn't have to fight. And then that's when it hit me. Melissa Benoist in real life is pregnant. And she found out she was pregnant during the course of them shooting the show. So by the time we got to this episode, everybody knew she was pregnant. And I feel like when they found out she was pregnant, the scripts were I feel like the reason why Miss Martian got brought in, they probably brought, I mean, I could be wrong, but they probably brought Miss Martian in just to have another powerhouse in the group, knowing that Melissa Benoist couldn't be involved in any of the action. So they needed somebody to cover for her, for the lack of her not being around, and then it's like that's when it hit me why And throughout this entire episode, Supergirl's going completely out of her way to not be a part of the fight, and that's because she can't be a part of the fight because she's pregnant. Like she can wear the costume, so she ended up going to Lena's house instead of fighting Leviathan. They had her actor stunt double wear the Iron Girl suit, so she couldn't actually have to engage in any of the fight scenes. And then in the end, they had her talk to all the virtual reality people, and they had everybody, because it makes no sense at all. And I understand, like, she's good at giving hope speeches, but it makes no sense at all to have her go into virtual reality and have the rest of them fight these gods, other than the fact that, Melissa Benoist herself couldn't engage in any of the fighting. So I was like, so when I realized that, I was like, all right, cool. So, and that's what happens. Like, the gang, they're fighting the guys, they're getting their ass beat. Supergirl, she's in the machine. She's addressing, like, all the people. She's giving them the hope speech, because everybody who was in there, they either lost a loved one or, like, real life was just too hard for them. And then she was telling them, like, listen, she was like, life is hard, but, life being hard isn't what... it's not about life being hard. It's about how you take that pain and use it to progress yourself forward. She was like, you got to live in the real world. You got to live in the now. You got to strive forward. You got to take that pain and turn it into a positive. And then she was like, you can't do that if you're trapped in virtual reality. So of course the Supergirl speech got through, and then, everybody, they woke up, they disconnected from virtual reality. When Lex and Gemma found out that Supergirl was even in the virtual reality, Gemma started freaking out, because she was just like, although she is Leviathan, she answers to a higher power, I guess like the Queen Leviathan or whatever. And then she said that she's not going to be happy if the launch doesn't work. And, now that Supergirl's in Obsidian, Supergirl's going to ruin the plan. And then Lex was like, all right, well, he was like, well, send the gods. And she was like, the gods are too busy fighting the other people. And then he was just like, all right, well, then send somebody in there, like send somebody else after her who can get the job done. And then she reawoke Andrea role, because remember, and there's another thing, remember in the first half of the season, Andrea was a shadow, she was a shadow Leviathan person, agent. We'll call her a shadow agent. She was a shadow agent. She was going around killing people. Like, Andrea was actively killing people in the beginning of the season on behalf of Leviathan. But because of Crisis, because like in the original timeline, Leviathan woke up, that part of her, and they used her shadow powers to kill all these people. But because of Crisis, Leviathan, on the new world, Leviathan never activated her power. So now that her power was never activated, she was just chilling. So then now Gemma goes up to her and she's like, your power has been activated. And then she was just like, she told her, she was like, I am Leviathan and I've been watching you this whole time. And then, and then Andrea was just like, all right, cool. She's like, I owe you guys a favor. What do you want me to do? And she was like, I want you to kill Supergirl. And, and then Andrea was just like, you can tell she ain't want to do it, but she got to do what they say. So she goes, she busts into Lena's camp. Supergirl sitting in the chair, connected to the virtual reality. She busts in. Like, Andrea busts in, and then, she's about to kill her, and then Lena stopped her, because Lena knows who she is and everything. And then Lena was just like, you can't do it, because, she was like, it's wrong, and that you really don't want to do it. And then she was just like, remember when we were friends, we both said, if I jump, you jump. And then I thought about it, I was like, they damn sure did have that comment, because, like, they had an Andrea Lena episode, and we are so far removed from that episode. I swear to God, I forgot that happened this season. I was just like, when she brought that up, I was like, yeah. I was like, that was like, Crisis ruined my entire sense of, like, timeline and equal. Like, because of Crisis, I feel like for every single show, I feel like we're watching two different seasons. And like I said, I forgot all about that, and then Lena eventually got through to Andrea, and then Andrea decided not to kill her, and then Lena and Andrea hugged each other, and then I noticed they did a nice little close-up of Lena holding the kryptonite that Andrea was going to use to kill Kara. And I guarantee you Lena took that kryptonite and put it in a box somewhere. And that's going to be a problem, like, next season, because there's no, like, there wasn't a coincidence the camera just happened to pan on Lena holding that kryptonite. So, so then after that, now Brainy, so again, like, Brainy, he went to Leviathan headquarters, and now that Brainy's in Leviathan headquarters, he was uploading himself in, the shrink program into the thing. It worked, but you can tell, like, the residual, like, the drawback on it, it was, like, killing his internal system. But he managed to upload it, and then he had, like, this tube thing, and he used that tube to suck the gods into the tube. So, like, the bald dude, the black dude, and the girl that were fighting, like, Jean and them, like Brainy was able to suck them into the tube. He shrunk them and he had them in this tube. So now that all three gods are shrunk in this tube, like the tube is glowing because I assume the three of them were like using their power to try to break out of the tube. And then like Brainy hits the floor because like, he's going into critical condition. The female Brainy, she's talking to him and she's just like, I'll stay with you, brother, until the end. And then Lex showed up because when Leviathan was defeated, Gemma started like being electrocuted or whatever. Then he was just like, uh-oh. He was like, Queen Leviathan is getting her revenge on Gemma for failing the mission. So then Lex goes to Leviathan headquarters. He sees Brainy on the floor. And then he just came in screaming because he was just like, how dare you? Because his whole thing was he wanted Leviathan to kill Supergirl. And then he wanted Brainy to kill Leviathan, but that wasn't going to happen because Supergirl never left the house. But then, he went from like angry to calm, and then he was just like, because the thing about it, because I guess like it's like why my whole thing was like, why are you that mad? Because he later said he was just like, like you're not going to win, Lex. I shrunk, Leviathan. I didn't kill them because I'm a good person. And he was just like, yeah, that was my plan all along. I wanted you to shrink them. And I'm just like, you wanted him to shrink them, but you were just blowing a gasket like 13 seconds ago. But I said, I guess he was that mad because he wanted Supergirl to die first. But he said that he wanted Brainy to kill, to shrink them because now that he's shrunk them into this glowing tube, it's basically a battery and a power source. And he was just like, thanks for the power. And he was just like, just he patted him on the head. And he's just like, you did good, but you're gonna die alone, just how you wanted it. And then he bounced. Dreamer, her power kicked in, and then she was just like, Dreamer saw everything. She was like, Brainy stopped Leviathan. He was working with Lex, but now he's dying. And she was like, I got to get to Brainy. So she's on her way to Leviathan headquarters to go help Brainy. Meanwhile, Brainy's on the floor. Brainy's on the floor, like his systems are shutting down, and Brainy's gonna die. So then after that, Lex, he went back to his hideout, and then he took the power source and gave it to his mom, and then he told his mom, he was like, here you go, now let's get to work. So now Lex and his mom is planning something. Lex and the mom are planning something, and they're gonna use this Leviathan power source in order to do it. Gemma ended up turning into like some iron creature, some iron like Medusa looking creature. So she's not dead yet. Andrea still has her powers, and she's with Lena and everybody. And then in the end, like Lena and Kara ended up having they ended up having a conversation, like they made amends, like they made up, they shook hands, and then they were just like, all right, now that everything's dope, now that everything's copacetic, let's go take down Lex Luthor and bring him to justice. And that was it. And that was it. That's it. It was a good season. It was a good season. It was the tale of two seasons only because the season started off one way and then it had to change because of Crisis. But at least they still kept. But the whole thing about the Obsidian and Leviathan, although they had to reset the Leviathan storyline, they were able to keep the tech, like the contact lenses. They kept that thing throughout, so nothing with the contacts changed. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool that they were, like I said, they were able to still do that despite Crisis. Unlike the Flash, because the Flash did like Ramsey in the first half, and then they did the Mirror Master in the second half. Supergirl was able to hold on to their whole story throughout, just like with Batwoman. She kept her story consistent throughout, despite the whole Crisis situation. So predictions for next season. Alex's vigilanteism will weigh on her and Kelly's relationship, although Kelly was turned on by seeing her in the costume, because Alex did look good in the costume. Because Melissa Benoist is going through a pregnancy, I feel like they're either going to come up with a reason to have her wear that suit a little bit longer, like maybe the power source that Lex and the mom got is supposed to disperse kryptonite throughout the world, and it's going to force her to have to wear the suit a little bit longer. I feel like that might be a thing. And because of that, Miss Martian's going to stick around a lot longer too, because they're going to need Miss Martian since Melissa Benoist can't technically be a part of the fights anymore. Supergirl is going to do a lot of conversation next season and not a lot of fighting. We'll get a lot of shots of her we're going to get a lot of shots of her in the suit from like the chest up, and we'll probably just see her fighting people with the stunt double from the back, from the back of the head. James Olsen will pop up next season for one episode and make an appearance. I don't think Wynn comes back next season. We'll probably get a Mon-El sighting, but yeah, there's like I said, the show left with a to be continued, and because the Superman show is starting next season, I don't know how that's going to factor into the whole Lex Luthor situation, but Lena's probably gonna almost die, like next season. And like I said, it's a continuation. So like the Leviathan Obsidian storyline. Well, the Obsidian storyline's done, but the Leviathan storyline isn't over yet. So we're gonna finish the Leviathan storyline, and like I said, but somebody's gonna come out damaged. Like even if it's Lena. Like I think like when we conclude the Leviathan portion of the storyline, Lena's gonna end up injured, and then she's gonna use that kryptonite to probably build herself a suit, and then she's gonna become a superhero, and then eventually become a villain or something because Lex is gonna take it over. But that was it. Like I said, good season of Supergirl. I definitely enjoyed it. I enjoyed the season of Supergirl. William's done. Like we don't need William no more. Like, we don't need William no more. Like there's ain't nothing for William to do now. So yeah, like I said, but kudos to the cast. Kudos to the cast. Congratulations to Melissa Benoist on the pregnancy. Hope everything goes well. We're not getting Supergirl or Batwoman or any show until 2021. Because all production is going to be late. So if Supergirl gets a shorter season, then they'll be able to wrap up a lot of stuff and hold off a little bit longer because she can't actually be in the fold. But like I said, but definitely good episode of Supergirl and good season of Supergirl, and I look forward to seeing how they conclude the Leviathan storyline in the next season. So that was it. That was my season finale reviews for Supergirl and Batwoman. Thank you all for tuning in and taking this ride with me. Everybody that watched, everybody who shared their thoughts, their views, their comments. Like I said, we'll keep going. Stargirl's coming up, and we still got Legends of Tomorrow while we're waiting for Agents of Shield to pop up. So again, thank you for a good, successful first season of Batwoman. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Tell me who your favorite character is in the comments for Batwoman Season 1. And let me know what you think, like a couple of predictions of things that you think is going to happen in Season 2, for both Supergirl and Batwoman. So keep it tight, keep it locked, and until next season for Batwoman and Supergirl, I'm out this bitch!